Attended. I mean, it's a fantastic facility. I'm not knocking it. It's a fantastic facility. It's just tired and knackered. And when you compare that to the Delaware Pavilion in Bexhill-on-Sea, that is a pavilion of splendour. Fair enough, they've got a big significant catchment area, very pucker. But the events that go on in that pavilion and how it looks, it's just completely first world. The likes of the five-a-side football, I always felt that the five-a-side football, that's a place where many kids socialise in the winter months. Not just the kids playing football on the pitch, but also the kids around and about it, doing sort of chatting and playground activities and such. It's a safe, supervised environment for them to gather. So I always think you need an alternative venue for them to move to, or you need to come up with some sort of dynamic, innovative way to encompass them within a refurbished pavilion. Youth on the island has very, very little in the way of anywhere to go. A tour of the bus shelters, a tour of the streets, the occasional skanky youth club is about Rothesay. Halfway, the cinema is fine, needs a refurbishment again along with the pavilion. But to utilise the room downstairs on one of the streets, Havelock Street, as a youth centre and a place that does the likes of dances, disco, comedy nights, then I think that would be very, very popular.
I just feel that it's just such a waste of space. I remember years ago, there used to be discos at the weekend, there used to be the tea room, tea dances, things like that, constantly busy, but now there's really nothing. Personally, I think there's nothing there, apart from the spinning for me personally, because every year they're saying that it's going to be getting renovated, and I know that they've lost out on a few big things, so I just think that the sooner it's done the better, and hopefully the island will support it, and also that the pavilion will use the island, because from a personal point of view, working here for such a big place, I know that they get, this sounds terrible, but I know that they get all their stationery from a supplier off the island. So for instance, I had to be there one day booking a class, and an order came in from somebody else, so you just think it's got to work both ways. You just feel on the island you've got to support the people, but the owners have also got to support you. So
pretty much that it needs smartened up, and it needs.
There's not much. It's a good building. You could do. It's got promise. You could do a lot of things with it, but there's nothing happening with it. It's just standing there empty.
They need to think of, I would say, more like indoor activities for the use of the pavilion, in the sense that years ago there used to be like a disco on a Saturday night, and they cut that down to it was only like once every 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it just stopped for whatever reason, I don't know. But it was a talking point, and it was a great thing to do. So it's a shame that they don't bring something like that back.
Right.
And there was the other things. There was like an archery bit in the pavilion. Again, that stopped. There was things like that, and I think if they were bringing that back nowadays, it would, something like that or things like that, it would be a lot more folk interested in going. So there's nothing like that to do.
There's nothing for kids either. Like you've got kids maybe 5 to 6 year olds. There's nothing for them. A soft play area or something like that. Slides, balls, stuff like that. Even if they charge £1, something like that, and then there's places for adults to go for a cup of tea and biscuits.
You'd like to see that, which I don't see it happening, but the old days coming back where people are in there enjoying themselves and the hall's filled with people. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening until it's brought into a smaller scale. But a filled hall is more enjoyable than a half-empty hall.
No, definitely.
Even the bands enjoy a full hall because their sound equipment works better when the hall's filled as it does. The curtain in there does make a big difference. You know, the tent effect in the hall does make a big difference, but it's just to see it being used properly and filled.
It's sadly in need of upgrading. There are areas which could be used for the common weal that are totally unusable because of the condition they've fallen into. But one of its major assets is the large open hall, which is essential, should be kept for future use and not divided up.
Good.
I have heard it rumoured that they're going to be doing away with such, they will not be able to do such things as indoor football now. If that rumour is only a Rothesay rumour, fine. If that rumour is founded on fact, I would be horrified to think that a facility that is used by young people to the extent it is going to be denied, and I think it would be a great shame if that was something that was not to be available in the future, because it's a great focal point for young kids, and I think it's great for kids getting together, exercise, all the rest of it. And I think it would be a great mistake if that was to be denied. It is a building well worth preserving, but it has to be very carefully thought out how it's going to be used and what it's going to be used for, and it must not be denied to the public to be used as a social centre for the benefit of the community, and not necessarily always at a profit.
No.
I just think about it now. When you go in, you just feel what a good sized building, what a wonderful building to have for the community, and you just want it to be brought up to date and used, the size used for everybody's benefit. I think it's nice that people are out and about asking people's opinion, local people's opinion, of all different age groups, of different backgrounds. I just think it's a building that needs to be brought back to looking its best. It's looking sad, and also a building that has got a lot of facilities in it that can interchange, that can keep up to date with what's needed. And a lot of people can use it. It's not a thing that just a generation is not involved, that there's going to be something for all the generations of Bute, and also thinking of the future generations, what the possibility is for them to use it, and that it can easily be kept up to date with modern technology or whatever's needed.
I really hope that the pavilion is going to be world class. Why shouldn't it be? Something that's going to draw people from all over the world, from Scotland, from England, and whatever's done in there, if it can just be done to the highest standard, and go for the famous artists, go for the big names, go for people that are, artists that are going to draw Americans here, people from overseas. Be ambitious for once, but do it properly. And then I could imagine the rest of the town following with that, and using it as an opportunity to get this town back on its feet, and for people to raise their bar in their shops, the restaurants, and get Bute ready for that opening, because it's going to be a one chance. The spotlight is going to be well and truly on that building, and they'll come, but they might not come back. So it's up to all of us to be sure when they come, we're all looking good too. This is a great opportunity. I don't want it missed. Right.
No, I think the pavilion at the moment is just an example of something that is done so much for the island down through the Ross's heyday, the glory years. But it is at a time now that it needs to look to future glory years. It's as simple as that. I think it's important that when and if the project happens, that there's full disclosure and all the money that's up for grabs, be it grant money or whatever, and I think it's important that there's agreement on how that money is spent. Too often in the past, I believe there's been far too much money spent, on things, that need to be questioned on at that time. Should have been questioned, So it would be nice to see. Be nice to see the money get spent well, and the community to be behind the vote on that, what that money was being spent on.
So how would that work? How would that work?
How would it work for us?
Just for you having raised it. So
yes. I believe that public meetings and full disclosure. I think it's important. It's also obviously important that the people that are at the forefront of it at the moment maybe try also and engage the community and try not to be part of we're a group that we're doing this. It's important that they get feedback, and this is good obviously what's happening at the moment, what you're doing yourself, you are looking for a bit of feedback.
I'll put that in, that's brilliant.
The way it is today, it's the victim of countless years of council neglect, which is why we're faced with such a challenge in refurbishing the place and bringing it back to be a major positive asset within our community that's perceived as such by people off the island as well as those on it.
Mm-hmm. I think there could have been some things done to it for small amounts of money, just to like the toilets, for example, and things like that wouldn't cost a lot, just to make sure the doors close. Mm-hmm. And taps don't leak and things like that. Yeah. When you go in the ladies, after you've got a single whistle. Because the doors don't close. Just little things that could have been done for not a lot of money, really.
Yeah, I think it's just part of that neglect thing and that sort of.
Well, it is, but it's just things that. A bit of paint or something. I mean, it's not the guys that work there. It's not their fault. It's the budgets that come through.
The team who work there do an incredibly good job given scanty resources.
Definitely.
And as the point I made of it has been systematically neglected. Preventative maintenance is an investment for the future, not an expense for the present. And I think that successive councils have chosen to overlook that, because it doesn't earn them expenditure on the pavilion historically would not have earned them any votes. So it becomes a political issue, whereas it shouldn't be, because it's actually a community asset, which the councils and preceding councils had a duty to maintain and failed to maintain.
I just hope it happens. I really do.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a tough climate, financially, but let's hope that it can succeed.
This is the opportunity to actually really see it refurbished in a thorough and sensible way to provide, I wouldn't say future-proof facilities, but facilities for future usage, which the next generation can enjoy and hopefully take on board and look after, and not let it fall into a state of neglect.
Once it's done, keep it up.
That's the important thing.
I think it definitely, the only thing that I feel about the pavilion is that it's definitely needing modernised, and it's needing a new look throughout the whole place, with the not necessarily the people that run it, but the way that it's kind of put across. I think it needs completely re-looked at, because it's not something that's easily accessible from that point of view. I think
I just look at it and I see history. I see how it could have been back in the past, and it seems a shame how it's been abandoned. Well, it hasn't been abandoned. It just feels lifeless at the moment, but it's got so much potential there, so much, and it's not in the worst condition, and it could be something so magnificent and bring so much to the island. And if I had the money, or if I had the backing, I'd be straight in there trying to help out and try and do something, because It could be incredible for the island. It really, really could. And it just makes me excited to know if someone would do something about it and bring it up, because the youth and the new people who are coming, the next generations, is going to be really potential. It's going to bring potential for them and for the island, and I think it could be really good. So
just like, you know, centre of creativity in the island, that could be just, I as well could see that as
could be the landmark.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm going to build, you know, that is there, and it's just, that's the place where you have to go if you want to, you know, even exactly starting with having a nice meal or coffee, see some new art, meet artists.
Networking,
Because usually most of the time, even if they have their work on display, it's around the shops that already exist, and it's just in the corner as well, abandoned, and you never kind of visualize the person that did the work. What, you know, could be different there, because if people will be having their, you know, workshops there or whatever, or small business, then you can actually have a face-to-face conversation and ask questions, you know, and you can just be inspiration to each other, you know, that type of.
I would call it a creative hub. It could be. Definitely a creative hub, because you've got the internet now, which is taking away. The internet businesses are taking away these shops and businesses on the island or in the cities or anywhere. So places are going under because of the recession and everything, and obviously the internet has really played a big part of that. So people are having to board up and move out. They can't afford to keep things going, so they're not getting the customers anymore. But you can never replace coffee shops or restaurants and human interaction, no matter what the technology is. So if you've got somewhere where people can be sat networking and talking together and communicating and bringing the arts and the creativity together and businesses together, it could be something potentially massive.